And we are back for episode 10 of the Sage's Nook podcast.
Woo!
Very special episode. My name is Tom. You might know me as the Adventure Sage on all my socials. This is my brother Mitch. He's the dual wielder. We are both longtime DMs and avid fantasy nerds, and we are here to talk about D&D. More specifically, we are here this week to talk about the new monster manual, because it's out. Wizards of the Coast actually sent me the monster manual via digital form because I pre-ordered it. And they give it to everyone who pre-ordered it a little bit early online.
They sent us the monster manual early because we bought it.
Yeah. Wizards of the Coast gave us a copy of the monster manual. All we needed to do was pay retail price for it.
Exclusive early access.
For everybody that has it pre-ordered on D&D Beyond. But anyways, we're here to talk about the monster manual. And there's a lot to talk about. There's a couple things I want to preface this with first. There's already a million videos about the monster manual that explain, what it is and what are the big changes. We're not here to fucking talk about all that. Go watch the Dungeon Dudes. Go watch XP to level 3. Go watch all those guys. We're just going to talk about our feelings about it and maybe do some fun little interactive, creative stuff with it. Sorry, I can't get my freaking mic cord to sit still. Jesus. All right.
You were going somewhere.
I don't know.
You were going somewhere, and then you just left it. All right, yeah. So we're talking about the fucking monster manual today. And Tom's probably going to be more of a DM perspective. I'm going player perspective. Nobody's talking about these monsters from the player perspective, just how to run them and how they're strong. Okay, so we're going to give you two different perspectives bouncing back and forth. When he brings up a topic, I'm going to look at it from a player's point of view.
Yeah, so I guess the first thing, and we always start the session with saying this, how much D&D have we played since we last spoke? Well, same thing as last episode, one session. But it's the session that I'm running, and Mitch is a part of it. So it's fucking awesome. It's really cool. They had a good session. Mitch, you can go ahead and explain. I'm going to try and find something in my old monster manual in preparation for something I want to do.
All right, picture it. You're in your suit of armor. Arc reactors going off in your chest. A guy with a shield is bashing your fucking brains in, while his friend with his metal arm is punching you in the face. That was me the whole session. I was Iron Man in Civil War getting my ass fucking beat. Gnolls are no joke. The new Gnolls in the monster manual, they have like double the health. They're beating my ass. They woke me up in the middle of the night. I had no plate armor on. I'm a paladin. I just got my shit kicked in. So
that is exactly what I wanted to talk about.
So I'm talking from player experience here for today. We ran some of the new monsters in our last session, and I got firsthand, I got some fisticuffs from them. Let's just say that. I got my ass beat.
I have it right here. I just needed to open my old monster manual to really unpack exactly what we got here. So the new Gnoll, the new kind of base Gnoll in the new monster manual is called a Gnoll Warrior, and it's different from the other just regular Gnoll. Regular Gnoll. Yeah, they have something that has been kind of changed in the D&D new monster manual that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about. I think the Dungeon Dudes might have mentioned it briefly, but they've condensed everything to make it simpler. Now, some people might think that's bad, but it's actually better in pretty much every way, and it's also more freeing. For like, oh, well, they only have one attack instead of 3 attacks. It's more freeing because those 1 attacks are themed as just like attack. Now describe it as you want us to describe it. So the new Gnolls, instead of having like a spear and a longbow and a bite, they just have longbow or rend attack. That is the melee attack. You can describe it however you want. But yeah, the new Gnolls have a little bit more health. They do a little bit.
I think it's about even damage.
Yeah, they do. They do even damage because the old Gnoll is separated between spear and bite. Bite is 1d4 plus 2. Spear is 1d8 plus 2. The rend attack does 1d6 plus 2 in the new one. So it just takes the average of both of those, throws it together. And yeah, they're a little bit more powerful. They have a little bit more health. They do kind of the same amount of damage. They're really cool. I really like the new layout of the monster manual. And Mitch got a taste of the beefed up monsters because the players are beefed up. The player characters are beefed up. Everyone got more powerful with this new edition, this new version of D&D.
So Tom,
the Gnolls are cool.
Yeah, walk them through your scenario you put us in yesterday.
So they were adventuring in the wilderness, and we've mentioned this before. I'm running like a very low fantasy, kind of gritty style campaign where The mechanics are a little bit harsher. Long rests take longer. It's really hard to get a long rest off in the wilderness. So most of the time they're just taking short rests at night. But anyways, they were in the wilderness, and I kind of built this whole scene, this whole encounter that spanned over multiple maps and multiple fights. But they got ambushed by gnolls when they woke up in the morning. It's a party of 3, a rogue, a ranger, and Mitch is playing a paladin warlock. They got ambushed. Then they took out the gnolls. It was a pretty tough combat. It was 3 of them versus 4 gnolls. Mitch's guy wasn't wearing armor because you can't wear heavy armor to sleep or you risk exhaustion. And he got beat down pretty freaking hard.
You know, when you're an armor-based class and you don't got that shit on, you know, that 10 AC, it ain't really working for you.
Yeah, 10 AC doesn't work. He cast Armor of Agathis on himself and bought him some time. But yeah, it was a pretty tough encounter. And they finally, you know, they beat down the last gnoll, and then they get a breath. But I was like, no, you hear more howls in the distance. The pack has been alerted that you are here. So now it's time to run. And this is very much reminiscent of kind of like in the first Hobbit movie where they're running from the wargs and they're just running across, you know, cutting across country trying to evade the enemy. So I had like this cool chase sequence where I brought out a new map and they had to like get across this valley with another couple gnolls chasing after them. Then they killed those guys, and then they had to make it to like this bridge. It was a landmark that was established earlier in the session as kind of a foreshadowing, so to speak. But they're like, the bridge, we need to make it to the bridge. They didn't know why, but they knew that the bridge was important. It's a long story. I don't want to get into it. They knew the bridge was important, and they had a feeling that they needed to get there. So they got to the bridge, and they had to fight 2 more gnolls. And that's when Mitch's character really got the beat down. He almost went unconscious. Thank God he didn't, because we play with some pretty punishing rules. We play with grievous wounds from the Grim Hollow book. So if you go unconscious, you get like a grievous wound, and it kind of fucks you up.
Yeah. So the new monsters, you know, I mean, they were pretty hard fights, and we were definitely outnumbered most of the time. The other players were kind of unscathed because I was purposefully like putting myself in harm's way to try and block them because they're squishier. I'm the tank,
Yeah.
So I've got Armor of Agathis, I've got Cure Wounds, I've got that shit, I've got it down. Like I've got my power. But as a player, it's kind of different now because with the old monsters, you know, a normal gnoll, I'd be like, okay, that's probably like 1 or 2 hits, and it's just out. Like, that's just what you do. You run up and fucking crush it twice, and okay, we're good. That gnoll's dead. Everything has more HP that scales with how many monsters you have in the combat. I feel like in new D&D, it's much better to play more defensively than aggressively than it used to be. Because the monster's average damage is a little bit higher in some cases, and almost every monster's health is increased because they got rid of the resistance to bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing from magical weapons. So they just basically gave everything more health to compensate for that. So magic weapon doesn't matter anymore. Playing more defensively is more important now. Like you're not going to be able to one-shot everything like you used to be able to unless you're dropping some heat, like some good spell slots or a huge smite. But then you don't have it anymore. And I'm not burning a huge smite on a little gnoll. So, you know, having Blade Ward, having Armor of Agathis, having those defensive abilities is much more important now because those enemies are going to last more rounds. You're going to be taking more attacks. Now, you can still do like a damage build and try to go all damage, but you're just going to get less than you would have before. The players are stronger, but I mean, at low levels, they're still low-level characters. At higher levels, maybe you can go more into damage, spec way more into damage or whatever. But at lower, like, you're going to have some trouble because things are a little scarier now. And I kind of learned that yesterday, especially if you get woken up in the middle of the night and you're not wearing any armor, you got 10 AC, and you got to run into 3 gnolls who are ripping you to shreds.
Yeah, he's getting the beat down. But it was cool. It was a really fun encounter. I do really like the new monsters. There's a couple, or there's one that I definitely want to talk about. It's my favorite monster in the game. We'll talk about that later. But I think the new monster manual is it is an improvement. And if you say it's not, you're just fucking wrong. I don't know what to tell you. It's so much better than the old monster manual. And I didn't think there was anything particularly wrong with the old monster manual. The dungeon dudes do make a pretty good point. They say that there's a lot less lore in the new monster manual just because they're cramming so many stat blocks in it that some of the lore gets left behind. And I see that, but I also do a lot of my own digging for lore too. And I do a lot of homebrew stuff. So doesn't necessarily bother me, but I can see how that would suck for a new player.
But yeah,
But
speaking of lore, I feel like for a while, Wizards of the Coast itself has been skirting or riding, so to speak, the back of the old game designers from back in the day. Because I don't like almost, unless you read the module, like a campaign module, you just get the lore of that campaign. There's not really lore stuff coming out, you know, except for the brief descriptions under monsters. Like, in order to learn about certain monsters, I'm going in and reading, and I'm reading stuff from like 3rd edition and before. Like, where's the lore, like the new lore of these? A new dungeon master isn't going to know to do that, and they're going to be like, "What does this monster do? I don't know. It looks like a frog thing.
yeah,
I'm guessing it's a frog. I don't know." Like, some are self-explanatory, but there's a lot of there's just a lot of shit that people don't know. I feel like those. For like, along with the monster manual, there should be another book that's like the lore of monsters, and it should be more boring, but just like entries on the monster manual monsters, and make it cheaper.
like a lore index or something.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. I'll do some research. I'll see if something like that exists, because I go to Target sometimes, and Target has like some, I don't know what partnership they have, but they have some sort of partnership with D&D where they have some, like, they don't have official D&D game books, but they have, like, I was just there yesterday, they have like a lore book and stuff. So maybe there are already lore indexes that just aren't kind of official. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool, and I don't necessarily mind the dip in lore because I know a lot already.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you know a lot of lore, it doesn't matter as much.
Yeah, or you just look on the wiki. Like, there's a lot of times I just look on like the wiki page of what's this god the patron of, and I do a lot of my divine research on D&D wiki, because even past editions sometimes don't have a whole lot of lore when it comes to like those high level things. But new monster manuals, really good. I really do, as a dungeon master, like the new layout of the character sheets. It was a little jarring at first, but the monster
stat blocks? This dude drank a stupid potion before coming on the fucking podcast.
It's because I don't have a beer. That's why I'm drinking water. I'm just drinking straight water today.
Oh, me too.
I might have to switch that up when we start streaming.
Are we gonna take a break and go grab a beer? Is that what you're saying?
Oh, should we?
No.
Oh, okay.
Not yet. We're streaming later. Well, you guys tune in.
But yeah, so the new layout is, well, one, it has their proficiency bonuses on the stat block. I like that. It also has their saves on the stat block versus their just their regular mod, or versus their save. So you don't have to list out like what they're proficient in. It just freaking says it there. It's so nice, because I do a lot of homebrewing monsters, and I have to do a lot of calculations of like, okay, what's the proficiency bonus? Okay, now I have to make them proficient in this save to get that proficiency bonus. Nope, I can just put it in what the save is. It's just so much easier. It's so much more straightforward, and I like it a lot. I like it a lot.
I haven't run the game yet with the new monsters, so I'm excited about that. I should have some campaign stuff in the works coming soon, so we'll take a gander at that for myself, and then we'll have another campaign kind of rolling in the background for our playthroughs. Tom will be able to tell you about it when he's a player in that online game, but that'll come later. So yeah. I'm excited to get into the monster manual too. I've looked at some monsters briefly, but not a ton. I know the general basis of like what's happened. Definitely the high-end monsters seem a lot cooler, seem a lot more fun to run. Maybe more reason to have characters go higher level. That would be cool.
Ready. Can't do it. Just ended a high-level campaign. It nearly freaking killed me. Yeah, the high-level monsters are cool. There's a lot more end-game monsters now. I feel like in the old version of the game, there was like maybe like 5 end-game monsters. Ancient Dragon, Lich, Tarask.
No, the Lich fucking sucked.
I know the Lich sucks, but it's still one of those kind of end game style bosses.
Dragons, Liches, big monsters, gods, giants.
Yeah.
That's kind of it. Those are the high level monsters. But there's a lot more now. They've effectively, like, all of the known monsters, they've effectively kind of almost like doubled them, because there's now like a spellcaster one for each one, or like a more interesting one, and then a warrior type.
Yeah, like groups of monsters, bugbears, goblins, bandits got a freaking complete overhaul. Thank God. Bandits are so much better now.
Yes.
They have so many more options. They have like a crime boss. I needed that in my last campaign. I had to freaking rework an entire incubus into a crime boss because they didn't have a stat block for it. So
now there is one thing that I understand why they did it, but it does grind my gears a little bit. Grinds my gears a little bit. Orcs. Okay. Orcs are no longer in the monster manual, except they're like NPC stat blocks now. I get it. They're player characters, and you want to separate the humanoids from the monsters, and I understand that. But orc culture is fucking cool from a monster standpoint. They have all the orc priests that worship I forget what Groomish, yeah. They have all the orc priests, they have the orc warriors, the chieftains. All those stat blocks were awesome. Like, I love the orcs. They have like the captains, the commanders, the chieftains. You've got the orc berserkers, you've got the orc spellcasters, like the orc warlocks. Like, where are those? That's my gripe with it. I understand why they did it, because it's a player character race, but I feel like goblins are just kind of generic little guys. But the orcs, they can be summoning demons, or they can be war bands with iron machinery and large weapons, or they can be like stalkers in the night, and they can have bows and almost like the Predator. There's so many different ways you can take the orcs. I don't understand why they. I get why, but I think that was a bad move. Like, there's so many different orc stat blocks that I use all the time in my campaign.
Yeah, I understand that. I've never been too keen on using orcs in my campaigns. I don't know. They just don't grip me as much. But I do like them in the Arctic for some reason. I don't know why. Like an orc clan in the Arctic. I also love a good Arctic campaign arc, though. I love it when I send my players in to the Arctic. Everything changes. I feel like that Arctic climate, like the survivability of it, and also just the desolateness of usual Arctic landscapes, it's like a completely different vibe of a campaign. You know, everyone starts off in just regular temperate, fantasy land of, here's all your forests, and there's some mountains over there. But when you go into the Arctic, it's like, no, you got to gear the fuck up, get ready. No one's here to save you. There's no cities. You're traveling 50 miles across the desolate wasteland, which brings me to my favorite monster that's ever happened, the Remoraz. Oh. It's beautiful, and it glue up so much. Actually, not really, but the artwork is so much better. Let me find it.
The monster's very similar.
So the Remoraz in the old monster manual is great. Still one of my very favorite monsters. But the new one, it hits a lot harder. It hits a lot harder. Its damage output basically doubles, and then its heat wave is even worse. So the heated body, I can't remember what it's called in the monster manual here. Its heated body in the new monster manual is called Heat Aura. So the way it used to work was anytime you would hit it or touch it, you would take fire damage. But now, if it just ends its turn within your range, so you don't really get control over this, you just now take fire damage. So it's like kind of has this like just this heat blast. If you get too close, you're taking damage from it. So that's pretty cool.
Heated.
The damage output is amazing. It's literally doubled from the old stat block. Everything else pretty much stays the same. They have their swallow ability, but the artwork is so cool, and I'm so excited because I'm a mini fiend. Not a miniature. I'm not a tiny little fiend. I'm a fiend for miniatures, and they're releasing a monster manual set of minis, and one of the big ones is a Remoraz. It's like they were speaking directly to me. I'm so excited because it's such a niche monster too. I don't know. I honestly have no idea why they would choose that one as one of the big ones because it's so niche.
It is niche, yeah. But I mean, hey, we're gonna have to buy some more mini bricks.
Oh, we got to buy the big, yeah. I'm fiending for a new brick set where I just open a bunch of boxes.
It's like gambling, but you don't lose your money.
Yeah,
it's like Pokemon
you get a
cards.
Shit draw.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very much like Pokemon cards.
You get to keep something. It's not like you just burn your money. It's like, oh, I get something. It's a loot box. Yeah. It's a loot box.
So, it is a loot box.
But it's IRL, so you get to keep the shit.
I'm so excited. I'm so excited for that new mini. I'm so excited for the new stat block. I love the Remoraz.
I'm sure in our current campaign that I'll see one at some point. I'm sure that's gonna happen. There is an Arctic zone way to the north in our current area.
What are you talking about? What? Half the map is in Arctic.
What? We're gonna fight Tom's favorite monster?
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Well, you already know what it is, so it won't be a surprise. But I know for at least one of the people in our party has never fought it before. So I'm very excited because it's one of those monsters where it's in the Arctic, but it gives off this heat blast. So it's kind of like this weird, you don't expect its abilities. So
Yes.
it's pretty cool.
And that's another thing I'll touch on from the player perspective. And like I was saying earlier, you got to think of the game in a more defensive term now. Monsters, it seems in general, do more damage types than they used to. And you're going to have to rely on those buffs to kind of negate those certain damage types, like protection from energy, stuff like that. Shield, which raises your AC, whatever. But I feel like with the player's power increasing, they're going to think, oh, we'll just play glass cannon builds, which you can. But I feel like you have to be more prepared for different scenarios and situations because monsters have so many more unique abilities or different damage types than they used to. So it's not like, oh, well, I'm just going to shoot my AC to the stratosphere and then nothing will ever be able to hit me. Well, yeah, all those monsters, they could just claw and bite you before and stuff. But now they've got a bunch of other abilities they can do too. They can just cast spells as their legendary actions now. They can, if, I'll never be able to hit you, I'm just going to banish you. All right, I'm going to kill the rest of your party now. There's all these different things where I feel like characters need to be much more well-rounded now than they used to be.
Yeah, it's definitely, the meta of the game is definitely going to change with these new monsters, especially from a high level perspective, because like Mitch said, the high level monsters are so much more powerful now, like insanely more powerful. Dungeon Dudes broke down the Lich a little bit. The Lich basically doubled in power, but even the dragons are so much more powerful, especially if any like boss monster is in its lair. It gets an additional legendary resistance. It might even get additional like legendary actions. It's scary. we were going over. I was driving home from work and we were talking about the Tarrasque, and Mitch was going over it. That shit really is a 30 challenge rating 30 monster now.
Yeah, it does like an average of like over 100 damage around, not including its like sonic breath, where it just boo and knocks everybody back like 100 feet. Its roar attack, yeah, it's crazy. It's got tons of legendary actions where it can just move like 60 feet, just every legendary action. And if you're underneath it, you get trampled. Like, it's crazy. It looks fun. I'm excited to play high level.
Fuck, it gets me excited to play high level too, but I'm so burnt out from it.
It's all right. We'll just run one shots or something. I'll run a one shot for the boys online.
There we go. The guy who built the Tarrasque in 2014 was sitting there for this one, freaking tears going down on his face, and he's like, everyone's making fun of me for the old Tarrasque. Now I'm gonna show them all.
No,
kill them all.
No range attack, huh? No range attack. Sonic breath, 80,000 damage.
Yeah, that thing's basically unkillable now. Someone was angry when they made the new Tarrasque.
It's good. It's supposed to be the strongest creature. Make it fucking strong. If it can't one-shot a player in a round, then it's not strong enough. It's supposed to be 10 CRs above the highest level players. That's like saying having a level 20 player character and putting it against a level 10 monster, a CR 10 monster. That player character should one round the monster. No diff. It should be the same thing for the Tarrasque.
Well, yeah. So, new monster manual. Pretty cool. A lot of the stuff is expanded. Stat blocks are neater. Stat blocks are nicer. Abilities are cooler. Everything is a little more straightforward. And I think most of it is for an extremely positive sense. I like it. And I'm very excited to get my hard copy because I like reading the hard copies more than I do online. I don't like just scrolling. I like being able to have the book in my hand.
I agree.
So,
I agree.
It's probably out at the point you're listening to this, so go get it because it's good. It's good. It's also, apparently it's very thick. We love a thick book.
Yes, we like a thick book.
500 stat blocks. Over 500 stat blocks, baby.
Fair warning, though. Players are stronger now, but the monsters, for the most part, are all stronger too, or at least have more health overall. Except for the beasts. The beasts seem to have gotten the short end of the stick in this book. But, they're beasts.
Mitch,
they're supposed to be regular animals.
Why don't you talk about it a little bit? Get out your frustrations. I know you like dinosaurs.
Where the fuck are the dinosaurs? I don't want to play an Ankylosaurus who has a 14 armor. What the fuck? That's like mage armor. It's a fucking walking tank. Why? I'm pulling up the stat blocks now. Ankylosaurus. This is supposed to be a strong animal you can turn into. A strong one. Ankylosaurus. They even got art. It's got fucking armor all along its body. The giant club tail, giant spikes sticking out of it. And I get it. It's only challenge rating 3. I get it. Why not make it a higher challenge rating? They didn't change any of the challenge rating for the monsters in this book. I think that was a bad idea. I think they should have if they needed to. This creature makes 2 tail attacks. The giant club. This shit, I'm just saying, logic and lore-wise, I'm a fucking dork, sorry. Logic and lore-wise, back in the day, these things were like the top dog herbivores because nothing could hurt them. They would just, and they club you and just break your fucking leg and you just lose. You're out. If you're a T-Rex and you attack it, you're out. You're done. Your leg's broken. You're fucked. You can't get food. This thing has 15 armor. 15! That's like leather armor. That's a dude in leather armor with dex. Or that's lower than just chain armor. I'm sorry, the club only does a D10, it does an average of 9 damage? This thing is a huge beast and it's hitting you with its giant club tail for 9. Like I feel that thing does the same damage. Let's just pull up the fucking ape. Let's just pull up the ape creature stat block. The ape does 2 fist attacks for 2d4 damage. It's a half CR. Okay, it's doing half the damage, but it's a half CR creature. It only has 3 AC less. That other thing's a 3 CR creature. It's over triple the power. It's doing like fucking an average of 2 more damage around.
Mitch loves dinosaurs. If you can't tell,
they're the cool beasts. They're supposed to be the high level cool beasts like in the game because they're like regular animals.
He just wants his Dino Druid. Please, wizards.
And
he just wants his Dino Druid.
This is another thing. They almost had it. They almost had the dinosaur companion druid in the Unearthed Arcana like 2 years ago when they were releasing like the Runite subclass and stuff like that. I'm pretty sure they had an Unearthed Arcana druid where you had a beast companion and you would use your wild shapes to make the beast like strong and powerful. And it was for Big Beast Glory of the Giants. And it was literally like a big dinosaur pet. And then that's the only subclass they scrapped.
Sorry, Mitch. Sorry about your dinos.
Dude, I'm sorry. An Ankylosaurus should be stronger than a fucking Rothe. A giant moose. The giant moose is probably stronger. Let's go fucking look.
Rothe. I love Rothes.
Ugh. Like, there's so many low-level monsters where it's like, oh, they're really strong and they do a ton of damage or whatever. The beast is the same CR and it's weak. Sorry,
Mitch.
Sorry for going off on the tangent, but I had to get that out of the way. Don't fuck with my dinosaurs.
Salty.
Don't fuck with my dinosaurs.
He wants to play a Dino Druid.
Yeah,
he's just a little angry.
I'm big mad. Big mad. All right, what's our next fucking point? Sorry, Jesus.
The artwork, some of the monsters got a huge reskin, which I love. The Balor. We were just talking about we were just talking about the Balrog a couple sessions ago.
It's just the Balrog. It's just the Balrog now in the art. It looks fucking sick.
It just looks like the Balrog now. It's awesome. The Nalfishne, it is a demon. It's actually one of my favorite demons. It's like this weird, like kind of fat pig guy, and he's just really strange.
Yeah, he's like the magic user pig demon thing.
He looked pretty fucking stupid in the in the 2014 version, which I guess had some, he had his own little charm because he looked so dumb, but he looks freaking cool in this one. I'm looking for him right now. I can put the artwork up on the video if you're watching. Yeah, he looks way cooler now. He's like this, instead of like this weird kind of like hog guy, he's now like this muscular like boar with a freaking dress of skulls. Yeah, it's freaking cool.
Yeah, for the most part,
awesome.
For the most part, the art design and the character design for most of the monsters is better now, just in general.
And he has his own mini coming out too. I'm definitely scooping that up. Yeah, I'm really happy with the artwork in this. I think all the artwork is super cool. I think all the reskins for the most part are way better than the old ones. I think they leaned into like the fact that like demons and devils are freaking scary. They didn't really hold back because some of this artwork is kind of haunting. Do you look at the artwork for the Oni?
I did.
That shit.
It's creepy.
That shit is nightmare fuel.
It's got like bug eyes.
Yeah. That shit is genuinely unsettling.
Yeah, I mean that's. I don't get me wrong. I don't. The book's great, guys. I'm hating on the beasts. That's all. But Yeah, everything looks great. It looks like you could flip through this book and be inspired to make a D&D arc or a session or whatever. Like you can, just from how cool the artwork is. And they've said this 1,000 times in their own videos at Wizards of the Coast, but like the artwork inspires because the monsters are doing what they would normally be doing in the world. Like they're either creeping through a dungeon, or they're defending people, or they're sitting in a bog, or they're making a potion and the brewing stuff for a hag or whatever. So it's all very good inspiration for crafting an adventure, and it's great. It's great. Besides the beast.
Yeah, a lot of the artwork in the old one is like just the monster just standing there, like in a blank background. It's like, cool, I know what it looks like, but can I see it actually in action? Cool, I understand what a gnoll looks like, but can you like give me some inspiration? Give me a cool picture of a gnoll like chasing down someone, or the Remoraz in the 2020 or in the 2014 monster manual. It's just a picture of a Remoraz, no background, nothing. Now it's like, yeah, like dive bombing on a group of penguins, and it's cool. That already gives you like, okay, so these guys lurk underground. They are ambush predators. They blast out and there's an explosion. Like there's already an entire scene painted in your head just from the artwork. And that's a consensus that a lot of the bigger D&D creators came to. It's like, okay, there's not as much lore, but a lot of the artwork does the same kind of lifting that the lore would do, because it like paints you that picture that the lore might describe.
Also, just I feel like just the art direction, the artwork in the old book just was not good. just straight up, like it was not good for the most part. Like there were some cool artworks, but like most of them were pretty uninspired, pretty boring. It's just the dudes with a regular background, like flat background, nothing. Just like it's like a character selection screen or some shit. Just like, oh, it's a bear.
I like that the dragons have even more distinct features now. Like they all had distinct features in 2014, but now it's like been turned up to maximum.
Yes.
Like the black dragon looks nice.
The skull head looks great.
That's so fucking cool. And there's a mini with it. I love minis, dude. I'm buying all of them. I don't care if it bankrupts me. I have to.
Yeah, it's sick. We're definitely buying all those minis up. We have a little hypothetical fun thing we're going to do. At least we were going to do. I did a random roll in the monster manual. I rolled the alphabet to see what letter we got. And then I rolled out of all the monsters in that letter. So we got R. And then I rolled. So we got a rhinoceros. So we got to make a dungeon that themes around a rhinoceros.
I don't want to do a dungeon that themes around a rhinoceros.
Yeah.
Reroll for the moment. Reroll for the moment. I don't want to do a rhinoceros out of all the freaking creatures. You were just shitting on the beast for 15 minutes, and then we roll a beast.
Sorry. Well, I re-rolled again, and we got Z, which is, or no, we got X. We got X, and there's only one X monster in here, the Zorn.
The Zorn. I'm not extremely familiar with the Zorn, actually.
Zorns are elementals. They're earth elementals, but they're more monstrous than regular earth elementals. They eat like crystals and gems and stuff like that, and like rocks, like precious metals. So like statues and like golems and stuff, golems don't like these guys, because golems are usually made and gilded with gems and precious metals, and these guys will go and try and eat them. So they love adamantine, they love coins, they love fossils and like petrified wood. They love rare resources to just eat. Meteor, moon pieces, shards of gems and crystals. So that's pretty cool. So you'd probably find them in some sort of dungeon. You can kind of use them as a metal detector if you trap one, because they can sense where the thing they want to eat is. So there's a D8 table in the monster manual about what type of items they want to eat. If you get like, let's just say for one, they want to eat adamantine or mithril. And if you as players capture it and subdue it, it knows where that stuff is, and it's just going to sniff it out. It's almost like a dog. So you can kind of like have it lead you to resources you want. But for building a dungeon around a Zorn,
well, I'm looking at its stats, because that's the first thing. You know, every situation needs to be plausible with its stats. It has an 11 intelligence. It speaks primordial, so it speaks a language. So if you have like a druid or something, the encounter that I'm thinking about is not you fighting the Zorn. It is you teaming up with the Zorn to fight. Like if there's a lot of like essentially like political intrigue, or if there's a big wealth gap and you need to take down the rich in your city, it's like, cool, go find a Zorn and partner with him, and then set him loose on one of the nobles' homes, and he's just going to eat everything, and just completely destroy wealth.
Or I could see the Zorn you're trying to get into an underdark like castle or city, and there are large like adamantine golem statues that guard the gate, and you need assistance. And you go find a Zorn, you say, "Hey, these statues are made of adamantine. Let's go eat them." He'll probably say, "All right," and he'll come help you, and he'll fight the statues with you and trying to eat them. He can burrow around too. He can maybe get you in places. Yeah, it's cool. But like for a dungeon based around a Zorn, the problem with the Zorn is they're more just they go on instincts of like I want to eat stuff. So it would probably be some sort of cave-like environment you find them in. I'd say a good boss fight would be a low-level party who's on an adventure to try and find like a rare sword or something, like a mithril item or weapon, or like a crystal sword, something like that. And they get to the sword room and they're about to go grab it, or they pick it up. And that's when a Zorn bursts through the wall as the boss. And it's like, it wants to eat the sword, so it attacks the party.
Or you could say like, you could have like, if your party does have like a really powerful sword, like let's say like a boon of, you know, like a campaign boon. It's like, oh, we need to track this sword so we can do this thing. And the bad guy's like, really don't want him to have that sword. You know what? I'm going to send 3 Zorns after them.
There you go. Yeah. The Zorns, they just want to eat it at all costs. So they're just trying to grab at it and eat it from the dude's hand.
Yeah, adamantine, mithril, fossils, wood, coins, the keystone of a great arch or bridge. Oh, dude, these things can dismantle city infrastructure.
Yeah, they're like attack hounds, bulldozers. They're also fairly perceptive, and they're actually pretty stealthy too, because they're also rocky in nature. So they could like just hide in a cavern wall, and the party walks past, and it jumps out and attacks them. They have tremor sense, dark vision, earth glide. They can just move through stone. They got some good stuff they got going. They can charge enemies by burrowing underneath them, and they got 3 arms. So they could hypothetically grapple 3 people too.
Oh, I know exactly what's going on here. So this is an encounter in like a labyrinth of a cave. Just if you have terrain or if you're doing online, just make like tunnels. Your party finally gets the item that they're looking for, like the sword or the gem or the, you know, whatever. And a Zorn comes out and frickin' takes it. And now there's no mechanics for this, which is kind of nice because you can make up your own mechanics. But like, all right, you have 5 rounds to get that thing back, or the Zorn is going to eat it. So now you just, you know, the party is like, the party splits up, which is awesome from a DM perspective. You always want the party to split up in a combat, especially in a cave combat with a labyrinth. You do that, and then the party just scatters. They're trying to find the Zorn because the Zorn could just walk through walls. So it's like, okay, we got to figure out how to corner him through this maze. And that would be a cool encounter because you don't necessarily need to kill the creature in that time. You just need to like wrestle the frickin' sword out of its hands, or the gem, and it's more of like this race against time thing. That's how I would make an encounter with a Zorn.
Yeah, because of their earth glide ability, they can burrow. They can use their burrow speed of 20 feet. Their movement isn't actually that good, but a good DM would use cavern walls and stuff like that, or like lower floors to their advantage. Because of their earth glide ability, any non-magical unworked stone or earth, they can just move through, and it doesn't leave a hole or anything. They just kind of mold into the stone. So that's an interesting encounter for like the end of a dungeon when they finally think it's over. Like they just fought a big monster or something. They're like, oh, the magic item, sweet, and they go and grab it and they pick it up out of the thing. Oh, and then the Zorn just jumps over, snags it. It starts chomping on it, and it starts running away through the walls. Everyone get it!
Like, fuck!
Yeah, then you start
running through the cave.
You start the chase scene. This is a great time for dwarves. They can turn on their tremor sense and chase after the Zorn. That's a good thing they can do. Makes it very useful. They do pretty respectable damage. If they bite you, it hurts a lot. But yeah, like this is a cool creature. It's got interesting stuff it can do.
The new Zorn has a charge ability. If it moves up to its speed or burrow speed, it's a bonus action. It just moves.
It gets a free move for bonus action. So it doubles its movement. So the chase scene is actually way easier for it because it can move through a wall to a different party member and then move again.
Really?
Yep. Moves up to its speed or burrow speed straight toward an enemy it can sense. It has tremor sense. So that's going to be a nightmare for the players if you're in a cavern with tons of walls. It's just going to be going in throughout the walls, weaving in, moving towards the enemies, going back into the wall to hide.
It's a pretty cool creature. It's funny because it mentions specifically, I don't know what it says in the new one, but it mentions specifically it's like they have no interest in actually killing any creatures. They just want metal. So it would be fun to have like this creature where it's not just your regular combat encounter. It's just a little elemental
Yeah.
that just wants to eat your sword.
Yeah,
So it takes your sword
even
and just runs away.
not even trying to kill you. It's like a dog when it picks up the bone, you're trying to get it back from him. Or the thing
Yeah.
that's trying to eat. It says they care little for living creatures and avoid harming them when possible. They're not mean. They're just like, oh, that looks good. And they grab it. It's like when the animal grabs something it's not supposed to have in its mouth. And you give it back, give it back. That's like a fun little encounter you can run with this creature. And that's just a random creature we pulled out from the book. And we just thought of this awesome encounter with many walls that the players have to kind of maneuver and try to figure out where it went. And it's like a chase down. And it can kind of zigzag back and forth with its charge ability.
Fuck it, let's do one more.
Reroll.
If you didn't know, we're skipping the wisdom check this week. We did a whole wisdom check episode last week, so sorry.
Okay, 17. What's the 17th letter of the alphabet? I'm not counting that shit out.
A, B, C,
Q.
D, E, F. Q.
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 All right.
Wait, I'm gonna try and guess. There's no Quetzal. There's no Quetzal in D&D, right? I don't know.
Q. There are two Q monsters. We need a coin flip. Coin flip.
Please don't be Quasit.
We got the Quaggoth. There's two different Quaggoths.
Hell yeah, dude. Quaggoths are cool. I've never actually ran one. I always kind of wanted to.
I've also never ran one. CR2, and then there's a CR3 version.
Quaggoth? Donut.
Oh, not. They're only medium. Are they like a werewolf?
Yeah, they're kind of like Underdark werewolves. Beastly hunters. They live in the subterranean depths. So they're an Underdark creature. They attack anything they can make a meal from. So they're just food motivated. Spiders to explorers. They generally serve sometimes as muscle for Underdark dwelling villains. They're pack animals. They collect in small bands.
Ooh, okay.
Man.
So Quaggoths are creatures that it specifies for Quaggoths every fight means life or death. They battle with wild fury and do anything to survive. All of their abilities on their stat block are better when they are more hurt. That's pretty interesting.
Wait, really?
Yeah. While bloodied, the Quaggoth has advantage on attack rolls. And then in their attack, the Quaggoth does more slashing damage if it is bloodied. So the more damage you deal to them, the stronger they get. I see this as a cool kind of boss fight where you have a bunch of them. And that means that in order for players to kind of negate the power of these creatures, you got to focus them down one at a time. Boom, boom, boom. If you're doing a lot of AoEs, fireballs, stuff like that, they're all getting low. They're all doing way more damage and they're hitting way more often. That's where I see this. Like your players are stuck in a room or stuck in a cavern that they've slid down and the Quaggoths all jump out. Let's take a look at the other one. The
Tholnot.
It's got the Bloodied Fury again. It's got Mind Spike, Mage Hand, Minor Illusion. The claws do psychic damage. They don't do extra damage when it's bloodied, though. And then they have a Psychic Defense, so it can cast Featherfall or Shield. Oh, that's cool. 3 times a day. Oh,
that's cool.
So
I wish they had artwork with this guy.
So this is what you get. This is what I'm imagining this encounter or dungeon. You have the Quaggoth, the Tholnot, making an illusion to trick the parties into the falling down a pit or something like that. Or falling in a hole that leads into a subterranean cavern. The party does it. They fall. The Quaggoth then uses its reaction to feather fall down after the party, and they all fall into a pit where there's 4 or 5 regular Quaggoths waiting. And they all jump out and attack the party at the same time. The party's going to freak out. They're going to be swarmed. This one's going to be floating down and shooting mind spikes at them. They're going to think, oh, fuck, we got to kill all these things as fast as possible. They're just going to, in a frenzy, all AoE spells. They're going to be cleaving with their new weapon masteries. They're going to be trying to get them down. And little do they know, the more they hurt all of them, the harder the combat's going to get.
Yeah, that's going to be really deadly. Because here's the thing is the party always starts off a little bit kind of like, you know, parties will always start combat as trying to figure out exactly what this creature is or what they're capable of. So once the party starts getting in a few hits and they're like, oh, these guys actually aren't so tough. And then they get a little cocky and they start, you know, once the fight goes on, they're going to get worse. And yeah, the party's going to be taken off guard a little bit by how much the second half of this combat is going to brutalize them.
Yes. Yeah. And, you know, the Quaggoths have climbing speeds and stuff too. So if they need to, they can, you know, they can climb away. They could be in like a cavern where the players are hung up or strung up, like stuck on vines that they were tricked into falling to, and they're just like clawing at them from the wall, crawling around, stuck in spider webs in the Underdark. They can crawl up and claw at them or attack them. Stuff like
they have a really good wisdom too. So the fact that Quaggoths usually, well, they don't usually, but they have been known to sometimes serve as muscle for Underdark dwelling villains. This would be like a good a Quagothonot can be like the right hand creature to like the villain. So he's like the enforcer. The Thonot commands his little band, but he's still taking orders from the big guy upstairs, whoever he is.
Yeah, and they speak undercommon, so they're not just like beasts. Like they are fully sentient.
Yeah, they're monstrosities.
Yeah. Even though they look beastly in nature. Yeah, that's a really cool creature. I kind of want to run it now.
Yeah, it's just one of those niche things. I wonder. I don't even know. I think there are a couple minis for them. That have existed over time.
And this is going to be definitely one of those monsters where the players are going to think you're cheating as a dungeon master. They're gonna be,
they have no fucking idea what's going on.
They're going to be like, how is this guy hitting me for double the damage he just was? It's just a stat block. What do you mean it's a stat block? He does more damage now.
Yeah, it's always scary. Like when you face a monster, especially even for me as a DM, because I know most of the monsters, I'm familiar with almost all of them, at least on a very general sense. But when I face one that I have no idea what it is, I'm like, oh fuck, I can't, because everyone does a little bit of metagaming in their head where if like you're like, for example, I just fought a monster the other day and I was like, oh man, fuck, what was it?
The Nightwalker.
Yeah, the Nightwalker. Like Mitch, when you started describing the Nightwalker, I was like, oh fuck.
As a player knowledge, you're like, oh no, this is bad. Like you know what it can do. You don't necessarily specifically know like all the damage or the stats or whatever, but you know like if an ancient dragon walks out of a doorway, you're gonna shit your pants. It's an ancient dragon. You know it's scary. When something like this rolls around, and it's a little unintimidating because it's a medium creature. It doesn't have a lot of AC. At first, it's only doing a d6 of damage. So, it's probably going to be hitting you for an average of 5 or 6. Like players, especially at CR2, if you have a party of 4 level 2 characters, you're fighting one of these, you'll probably be at like level 4 or 5 fighting a few of them. Mm-hmm. Oh, this is easy. We're going to wipe the floor with these guys. And then once they get down to half health, they get advantage on their attacks. They still have 2 of them, and their damage triples. They do 3d6 damage instead of 1d6. And if you got 4 or 5 of these bad boys and your parties are splitting damage on all of them, they're going to be in a rough spot.
Yeah, this is definitely one of those enemies where you need to pick them off one by one. You cannot just scatter damage around, because if they all are bloodied, you're fucked.
Yeah, and this
absolutely fucked.
And this is where you, as a DM, you describe like, okay, you get if they're doing AoE and stuff, you describe like you see that as they're getting damaged, they're getting more ferocious. They're getting more bloodthirsty. Their eyes are turning red. They're freaking out. And then that's when you have one hit them, and it's like, oh yeah, that one did 15 damage to you. It's like, what the? How did he get? You were rolling 1 die before. It's like, yeah, they seem scarier now. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
That's a cool another random one. And that's just a CR2 random ass monster in the book. And that's like way cooler abilities than, there's so much more inspiration here.
Yeah. And that's one of the things. There's over 500 stat blocks in this book. This is the densest monster manual that's ever been created. You might have a little bit of a tougher time extracting the lore from it, but even this one, it has a nice 2 solid paragraphs. Yeah. Kind of tells me what I need to know. But yeah, there's a lot of just when I get the monster manual in the mail, I am just going to sit down and I'm going to read it start to finish. I've never done that with a monster manual before. Usually I just kind of, skim it, cherry pick a little bit, but I'm just going to read everything just to see if anything's changed, if there's any new monsters that I don't know about, if there's anything that the big content creators here didn't really cover. I want to understand this on a very deep level from a DM perspective, so I don't miss anything, because I get analysis paralysis.
Yeah, if you guys are playing in any games or like running any games, like with the new monsters or fighting against new monsters, tell us how it goes. We want to know. Like, we want to know, like, was it like scarier to fight a certain type of monster than it was before? If you're running a monster, how did it feel different? Like that would be just cool information to know. Just put it in the comments and we'll read it, and we'll probably I don't know. I'm just intrigued. I want to hear more opinions about the monsters from actual people in the trenches playing, not just people reviewing the book.
That's one of the things. I feel like a lot more will come out as time goes on and people actually get used to the new rules. Like I just messed up the invisibility rule yesterday with one of our rogues because I'm just not used to the new way that things are going. So yeah, that'd be cool. I think we should I kind of like just randomly, Mitch, maybe we'll make like an actual table instead of doing it impromptu for next week. But I like kind of just looking at random monsters and just trying to think of cool instances or cool scenarios to put them in. So maybe we'll dedicate time. We'll kind of continue this conversation next time, because I think this is cool. And it's also helping me learn about monsters.
Yes. Yeah, me too. Guys, make sure you go check out our Twitches. We're going to be streaming tonight. I don't know when this drops, probably next Friday. But we might not be streaming on Friday. But we stream on there probably like twice a week. You know,
Yeah.
we're just playing Baldur's Gate or putting minis together, doing world prep, stuff like that. If you want to come say hi, check it out.
Yes, sir. The honor mode run is alive and well. I'm a human cleric, a nature cleric, trying to mimic the adventure sage. Mitch, what are you playing?
I'm playing a dwarf, dual wielding dwarf. It's in the name, dual wielder.
Dwarf fighter, baby. And we are alive and well. We just made it to the Druid Grove, and we're gonna keep going here. So yeah. Don't forget to follow me on all my handles. Mitch has severely less handles, but still give us a follow on Twitch. Come hang out with us. It's fun. We like doing this stuff. We're glad that we're doing more stuff together as far as like playing Baldur's Gate on stream and the podcast. We've really been enjoying it a lot more. Not that we didn't enjoy it before, but I don't know. Just having a lot of fun doing all this. So
it was fun. Yeah. We're about to spend the rest of the day streaming Baldur's Gate. We're gonna go kill Auntie Ethel. We're gonna go kill her.
It's a perfect Sunday. It's a perfect Sunday.
Woo! All right, people. Let's go. We out. Good episode. Monster Manual. Yeah!